When you think about the world's largest media franchise, that being Pokemon, what do you think about? Whilst most people probably think about the mainline video games, such as Scarlet and Violet, Red and Blue, and Gold and Silver, and so on, there are probably some of you who thought about the card game, the anime, or even more niche media in the franchise such as the MOBA Pokémon Unite. I personally, however, rarely think of any of these topics on their own, but rather the community that the fans of the franchise have put together, or rather say communities. Let me explain why. For me to properly be able to explain why, I have to talk a bit about my own relationship with the franchise. You see, when I was a kid, I had seen my brother watch the movies on TV and probably even seen a few episodes of the anime on TV before I actually got to play the games, at least as far as I remember. Frankly, my memory of my first experience with the franchise is very iffy at best. You see, I have a very vague memory of when I was 4 years old and I was on a trip with my family and my brother let me try playing on his Pokemon Fire Red on his Game Boy Advance SP for the first time, and I don't remember how, but I do remember at least getting a bit into the game at the time. I remember getting to the catching tutorial and thinking that I had caught the Weedle that the old man catches during it, and I remember hearing Caterpie's cry thinking it sounded similar to Trico's cry in the anime. I thought it was Trico or something, I do not understand how, but I was incredibly young, so give my kid self some slack on this one. As I got older, I kept playing the games. I remember when I was 10 years old and Heart Gold and Soul Silver had just released. I had my Pokewalker on me all the time to get as many steps in as possible. I remember being incredibly excited for Black and White and loved those games, but also quit the franchise afterward as I lost interest and was very interested in other games which were more popular with the people around me, such as Minecraft and Call of Duty. However, whilst Black and White was new, I remember trying to find and watch any episodes of the anime as possible, whether in Japanese or in English, and that is when I found out that you could watch episodes on Pokemon's official website for free back then, though sadly it is nowadays on streaming services instead of just being on their website. There was a time where I watched so much of the Pokemon anime that I watched almost all of the Orange Islands, the Johto series, and Hoenn series, which is kind of crazy to look back at, especially now as an adult, as I truly loved the anime back then. I've also seen a pretty large amount of the Sinnoh series, so like the Gen 4 anime, which is incredibly long. I don't think I've seen all of it, but I've seen enough to where you could probably argue it's a bit unhealthy. But hey, that's part of being a kid. I didn't play the games for a while, but I got back into the games with the release of Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. For a while I stopped playing the games after Black and White, and with the release of Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, I decided to get back into them and bought my own copy of Alpha Sapphire as well as a Pokemon Yellow 2DS. I remember that I, at the time, also started watching the Pokemon X, Y, and Z anime. I had seen the first season of the X and Y anime, but I didn't see like a good chunk of the middle segment of the X and Y anime, so I was missing out on some things. And I absolutely fell in love with the X and Y anime. And I'm pretty sad that none of the seasons since have had me watch it, although I do want to catch up with Horizons, as the 30 or so episodes I have seen have been a great watch. Of course, you can't talk about the Pokemon anime without talking about the movies. I had the Pokemon 2000 movie and the Pokemon 3 movie as a kid on the VHS and would watch them on repeat, even though we had Pokemon 3 in English, which I didn't even speak at the time, but I still loved it. I also a bit later on as a kid got the Pokemon Heroes Latios and Latias movie, Pokemon Jirachi and the Wishmaker movie, and the Pokemon Destiny Deoxys movie on DVD, which I like most of them and think they are pretty fun. And I actually still have them like here with me in my current apartment, which I don't with the VHSs, so I could watch them whenever I want, and that's kind of fun, actually. I have also recently, with some of my friends, been watching through all of the movies again, even though I have seen them all. So who knows, I might even make a video on the movies alone at some point. I genuinely do not know, as it is a bit of a process to watch all of them, and I just, at the moment I have no plans to make a separate video about the movies themselves, but I might. I mean, there are 23 movies and we have only seen 7 of them so far, but we're having fun at least and are enjoying it, which is the most important. I, at the time of getting my 2DS, started getting into playing the Pokemon games more competitively, and I also started doing shiny hunting and got my first ever shiny that I hunted for, that being a shiny Sorua, through the Pokénav feature after 362 encounters. And I still have that same shiny, which I named Safs to this day. However, he is in Pokemon Shield now. At this point of time, time, as I was getting more into Pokemon again, I also started watching creators I used to watch growing up again, such as Munching Orange, Jeffrotex, Dookie Shed, and Shady Penguin. But not only did I start watching creators I used to watch again, but I also started watching creators I hadn't watched prior to this, such as the Aura Guardian, PM7, known as Pokemon 7 at the time, and MJTV. I also at this point started getting into the TCG at the time and started buying some packs and even started playing on the online ladder through the Pokemon Trading Card Game Online video game. However, this was a lot more on and off and was more so just a for fun thing I would occasionally do. Around 2017, I started doing Nuzlocke for fun as I saw creators doing it, and I wanted to try it myself. The more I have gotten into the franchise over the last couple of years, the more I have started paying more attention to the communities within the games. I to this date play the TCG on and off. I love doing shiny hunting, and whilst I don't enjoy doing competitive battles as much as I used to, and do them very rarely, I have gone into Pokémon Unite, which is a MOBA similar to that of League of Legends and Dota 2, which has been scratching my competitive urges when it comes to Pokemon. Fun fact, my brother, who is 7 years older than me, used to be a Dota 2 player and tried getting me into Dota as a kid. However, I personally never really got into Dota or any other MOBA until the release of Pokemon Unite. I remember how I would watch tournaments in Pokemon Unite to see what builds the best players in the world were running, so I could copy them and make my own builds off of them. This includes players such as Indir, Gatlu, Sugrug, and Lutano as just a couple of examples I would watch. And as a support main, I would mostly look up support builds, but I also from time to time play other roles in the game, just to get to play something else and keep the game fresh. With how much I indulged myself with the franchise, you probably wouldn't be surprised I found myself enjoying a large variety of creators and other aspects of the franchise's various communities. When I first got into the TCG, I loved watching Max Mofo and Candy Eevee's content on YouTube along with other Pokemon card opening channels. Once I enjoyed the TCG, I found far more enjoyment in content such as Showdown videos by Weedle, Twin Needle, the Garbodors, and PokeMD, and just watching people go in on some poor soul when playing Showdown with some creative team building. Then I started watching the VGC. I saw Wolf Glix win at Worlds 2016, which made me really want to get into doubles more so than singles when it came to competitive Pokemon, as I found it far more challenging and found it to open up far more interesting strategies and playstyles than the one you typically see on Showdown's OU ladder, which is what I was playing at the time. I started looking into old videos and tournament games by players such as Sejin Park, Aaron Sang, also known as Cybertron, Ray Risso, and Marcus Hamon, previously known as Marcus Studler. I'm sorry if I mispronounced any names. I am not the best with pronunciations, as some people who have watched this channel for a while might have realized. I remember watching every single Wolfie VGC video for a while at the start of Sword and Shield and seeing his channel absolutely explode in popularity. However, there is one side of the community that I enjoyed far more. Whilst I didn't enjoy it as much in Sword and Shield as I did it during Gen 6 and Gen 7, it took off for me with Legends Arceus, and later Scarlet and Violet, that is, of course, shiny hunting. Oh, goody. What the f? That's not the event one. That's not the quest one. What? I'm actually gonna use this one. No way! I got it, let's go! For a while during Sword and Shield, I kinda just didn't do much. I didn't really enjoy the DLC, and so I mostly just watched more casual content creators such as PM7 and MNGTV more than ever before. And this is when I found a creator called Purple Cliff, who I had no idea would open the floodgates for me when it comes to creators I would find and enjoy. I started watching Purple Cliff's videos that were mostly highlights from his streams at the time, and enjoyed watching the various hilarious moments that they created, but then everything changed with just a few videos. Purple Cliff started releasing videos that were more so challenge type videos, such as his Last to Leave Kanto video, and this made me look into some of the creators featured in the video, such as a dedicated shiny hunter by the name of Party Arlie, and it took off from there. I don't know when or why it happened, but as I started watching Arlie, I also started getting recommendations from this channel called Nokimon, and challenge videos surrounding shiny hunting, such as shiny hunting without color and more. I also at this point started watching Johnstone and his content surrounding finishing the Pokédexes and in the different games by catching every Pokemon available in the different games. And also his first shiny living dex where he caught a shiny of every Johto Pokemon. This combined with the videos by Arlie and PM7 as PM7 started making his catching every shiny from X-Gen video, started introducing me to more shiny hunters such as Shiny Catherine, Absolblog's Pokemon, and Tales of Taylor. This in turn introduced me to one last creator I want to talk about in this video. You see, I like listening to podcasts. I in general like listening to things whilst I do something, whether it is playing a game, writing a script, or even just taking a walk. This has led to a podcast surrounding the Pokemon community's many figureheads becoming one of my most cherished things to listen to recently. You see, there is this caster called Rosemary Kelly, also known under the username Necra, who is one of the most popular casters in the VGC, which is the official format for competitive Pokemon, and I one day opened up YouTube to this one podcast where Necra was a guest called Shazindra Chats. This podcast is a podcast hosted by VGC caster Charlie Merriman, also known as Shazindra, and it also goes by the name of 6 Pokemon 1 Life Story, where Charlie interviews different people within the community on essentially their journey within their space in the community, and the 6 Pokemon they would have in their party of Pokemon if they were in the Pokemon world. I instantly got hooked from the episode with Necra and started watching even more episodes, such as one featuring the 2024 VGC World Champion Lucas Belli, the Unite Pokemon caster Spraggles, and Party Arlie, who I already followed individually in their spaces. This podcast series has introduced me to even more creators and figureheads in the community, some of which I had heard of but never really checked out, such as Blue Vector and Kotatsu and Unova, who I now have checked out and have become a fan of as I truly enjoy their content. The Pokemon community is incredibly wide and people would probably be surprised by the lack of overlap within it, as a lot of people that are into, for example, the card game aren't really into the video games, at least not to the same degree, and vice versa. Hell, a lot of people even within different communities for the video games aren't overlapping a lot, as not a lot of VGC players do shiny hunting and not a lot of shiny hunters play VGC and so on. It is also interesting to see how different the Pokemon community is today compared to when I was a kid growing up. There was a lot more of regular Let's Plays, top 10s, and so on, such as Munching Orange's Let's Plays and Dukishid's various top 10 videos. And I do personally, to a degree, miss some of the creators I grew up with that aren't active anymore, or some that even sadly passed away, such as Jeffrotex, who I previously mentioned, who tragically passed away a few years ago. It's kind of crazy to see how much of the communities within the Pokemon franchise have grown over the years, and this video is barely scratching the surface. There are a ton of incredible creators who are insanely underrated all over the community, and a lot of them create some of the highest quality content I have seen across all of YouTube, at least in my personal opinion. This in part is a big part of what makes the Pokemon community so great and why Pokemon is such a beloved franchise. There's something within the community for just about anyone, no matter your interests. Is it esports? Well, you have the competitive side of the franchise, such as Pokemon Unite and VGC. Do you like trading cards? Well, you got the card game. Do you like niche gaming mechanics with incredibly satisfying payoffs? Well, shiny hunting might be just for you. There is truly something for just about everyone if you look hard enough, and I cannot express enough how this video is just scratching the surface, as I haven't talked about things such as musical artists within the community, people that do insanely cool drawings and paintings within the community, or even Pokemon Go or the Pokemon Go community at all, mostly because I don't really know much about Pokemon Go or the community. I exclusively play Pokemon Go for the community days due to higher shiny odds. There is so much to like about this franchise and its many communities for. And so I truly hope some of you viewers who haven't done so, as you might find that one thing that is just right for you. There are flaws to all the different media, such as the games looking and running like... well, yeah. The trading cards getting scalped so bad that if you can get a singular pack from a new set at the MSRP, you might as well go and get a lottery ticket because the odds seem to be about the same. And if we want to talk about the anime, then it might be worth mentioning that the story in the anime can sometimes feel like it has no clue where it is going, which is completely fair and expected to happen at times with a show that is as dragged out and long as the Pokemon anime, especially when you have no source material to follow, such as in example a manga. At the end of the day, I could make an entire video about the flaws within the different media that the Pokemon company releases, but that is not what I do on this channel. I talk about things I like and why I like them, and to be honest, there are many others that have far more to bring with their criticism of the different media than I have, that have done so and have done so better than I ever could. An example of this is Wood from Beat 'em Ups, who recently released a video about the graphics in the Pokemon games. Something I haven't talked about in this video, as I don't want it to be as much of a focus point as the community as a whole, is that I, along with two of my friends, have a group channel called 3 Goons surrounding creating Pokemon content. So check it out if you are interested. It will be linked in the description below. There are only a couple videos up at the moment, but we have more videos in the works, so you know. We also recently released a prop hunt video that was really fun to record that I recommend checking out if you are interested. And it was also heavily inspired by Purple Cliff's prop hunt series in Pokemon, so check that out too. With all of that said, please tell me what you think about the franchise and share your experiences surrounding Pokemon in the comment section below. I hope you guys have truly enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a like and subscribe for more content like this. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye.